Like a Peggy once said.
Ain't that a peg in the head? Okay. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Monday Night Marks podcast, the podcast where we break down Monday Nitro and Monday Night Raw head-to-head, segment by segment. Today, though, we have a little surprise. Well, first of all, what's up, Hollywood?
What's up, Q? How's it going?
It's going, man. It's going.
What's our surprise? I'm so excited to hear the surprise.
Well, see, I mean, because normally, we just do Nitro Raw. But, as we said, we're going to do a full Fall Brawl 95 review for everyone.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm surprised, yeah.
Did you know that?
I did, but I didn't know it was a surprise.
But now you're surprised. Actually, you're probably more surprised than if there was a real surprise.
I'm so surprised that I can't even believe it.
Because this is a surprise.
Right.
But yeah. 1995 WCW Fall Brawl.
Yes.
We wanted to do this because we actually got pretty engrossed within the storylines on Nitro. The Big Luger Hogan storyline, Dungeon and Doom. Which, if you guys listen to the first two episodes, we surprisingly really enjoyed and we were getting into. So, we decided, let's do it Wargames 95 Fall Brawl.
From Asheville, North Carolina.
Asheville, North Carolina. Flair territory, baby.
Yes, Flair country. Horseman country.
Yep. So this show, right? You're going to be surprised by this too, I think, Hollywood. All right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
The buy rate for this was a .48, okay?
Okay.
That's like around 85,000 buys. Okay?
Uh-huh.
Bash at the Beach was the pay-per-view before this, okay?
Okay.
It got a .82.
Oh.
So that's like a 40-point drop. And Nitro, this is the first pay-per-view since Nitro started. Are you surprised by that?
Very. That's weird because if you've been listening and if you haven't been listening, we just started at the first Nitro, which was at this point 2 weeks ago. And they kicked it off with, the surprise signing of Lex Luger. So I thought, yeah,
I was really surprised when I saw that.
That's interesting.
Too. Like 85,000 buys, like I know obviously like what we used to do is when pay-per-views was still a thing. Like we'd buy it and we'd all go to like one of our houses and watch it, right? Mm-hmm. But still 85,000 buys, like, even nationally, like that's internationally obviously, but even nationally, like that's pretty low, dude.
I wonder why it would be so low. I wonder if that's maybe school started.
Maybe.
Versus the August pay-per-view, maybe.
But like, and Bash, I feel like Bash is probably more of a, like, it has more prestige than Fall Brawl. But that being said, still, it's kind of like, I don't know. It surprises me, especially I think because this is War Games, and I feel like a lot of people really marked out for War Games back then, and in general today. You know what I mean?
I would think so. Yeah.
So that's why I'm a little surprised. But
I'm very surprised.
You want to hear what the main event was for Bash? I wrote this down just to compare. So we got the main event of this one is Dungeon of Doom versus Luger, Sting, Hogan, and Macho, right? The main event for Bash was for the title, Hogan versus Vader in a cage. And guess what? Vader's AWOL. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it. Like, Vader's gone from the company, but Vader main evented last show with Hogan. So
that's interesting.
Food for thought there, mate. Food for thought.
Okay. Very interesting. You're just chock full of surprises tonight, kid.
I am. Look at me. I'm chilling. We got the attendance, too, was 6,600. Which, dude, like, reading these attendances, because, like, this is supposed to, like, I know it was a downtime of wrestling. Like, we're only going up from here type of thing.
Right, yeah.
But it still surprises me. Like, 6,600 people. Like, think about WWE for Raw, even, as unpopular as they are. Like, they still put, more than that in an arena. You know what I mean?
Right. Well,
and this is a pay-per-view. So
6,600.
Yep. I guess that's not too bad of a gate. I mean, honestly, I bet Bischoff was kind of, a little worried when he saw the buy rate, to be honest, because that's not very good.
Well, if I'm Bischoff at this point, I'm going to be thinking if, let's see, if Starrcade doesn't pop in 2 months, we have a problem.
Right.
Well, what, October, November, December, so 3 months.
3 months.
Yeah.
But still, like...
you would think after the debut of Nitro, things would be...
Right. I think that if I was in his shoes, I think that would bug me a little bit. Like,
right.
The fact they went down by that much. It's not really even like it's a decline. They went down by that much. So...
Exactly.
But, yeah, before we get into the full review, thank you guys for watching. Go follow the Twitter. This is now on pretty much every single streaming platform. We got
every single.
We got approved on Google recently, which was like that's the one that takes forever. So that was really the last thing, but it's everywhere. We're on YouTube too. So I was editing up some fancy clips, so you guys had some more imagery. So check that out. But yeah, are you ready to get into the thick of things?
I'm ready. Let's do it. Fall Brawl 95, Asheville, North Carolina. Let's do it.
All right, so the show opens. We got a hype package. First, it's mainly focused on like Flair versus Arn, and it, from what I remember, it was just all about family values and like four horsemen and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And then it's kind of just about Hulk and his Hulkamaniacs versus Dungeon of Doom. So it basically is just talking about all the things we read on Nitro. Luger's here. Can they survive together? Like they're going to be in the cage. Wargames, blah, blah, blah. But honestly, this was mainly focused on Flair and Arn, I thought. Like the show kind of, and like this is kind of a theme throughout the whole show. It seems like to me anyway, this is what I got across from it. Even the little, when they would do the announcing segments and just like the little hype videos, it was very Flair and Arn like geared. It just definitely seemed like that was the big fight as opposed to even the Hogan and Dungeon of Doom thing at Luger, which definitely. I was surprised about. Which
makes it weirder to have such a low buy rate. They're in Horseman country, and you have the Horseman versus Horseman here.
And the gate isn't. That's another thing. Like 6,600, the gate's not huge for this either.
Right.
But
I'm not sure what they max capacity was there, but
right.
Yeah, very interesting. Okay.
So then they go to the announcers. All right, we got.
Oh, we should add too before you move on.
Yeah.
Apparently, this show, and I didn't watch. There was a 1 hour of free TV.
Yeah.
Building up to the event.
Ooh.
And I didn't watch it because I wasn't sure if it would have been on the network. But
I don't think they would have that on the network.
Okay, but apparently Eddie Guerrero made his debut.
Ooh. Yeah, because he wasn't on Nitro, right? So that would have been...
Right. He does make an appearance on this show.
Right.
But, apparently he made his in-ring debut on that free view show.
Is that wild? That almost makes it even weirder, I think, the buy rate's so low. Maybe they saw that, people saw that, and they were like, yeah, I'm definitely not getting this. You know what I mean? Like...
Maybe.
That's even crazier. But, okay, so after the hype package, we got Shivani and Heenan. So thank God. I was glad we got Shivani because this is the first we've seen him during the whole review thing.
Yep.
One quick quote from Heenan. He says, "The Giant is sorry he didn't kill Hogan when he ran him over with the monster truck or whatever." So that's happening, guys. The whole Giant, aka Big Show. Dude, by the way, Giant is like, I think this is less than his first year in the business at this time. Like he is like green.
Oh yeah.
But like you can tell, like he's young, so they're trying to hype him. Like I think at one point, Heenan even refers to him as Andre's kid. So like they're still doing that gimmick thing.
Yes, they tried to push it that way. Yeah,
right. But they're basically just hyping War Games. But then we go to our first match, boys. This is match number 1. We got Flying Brian versus Johnny B. Bad, a.k.a. Mark Marrow. And as soon as he came out, his song was great, and he came out with sparklers. And I was like, dude, I'm into this. Like, I was so into this. I don't know why. I loved it. But he gets into the ring, right? And Johnny B. Bad teases, like, throwing a Frisbee. And he throws it right into the ropes.
Yes.
It was like the Jeff Hardy being drugged up against Sting. But like
when he's teasing the shirt throw.
He's teasing the shirt, but he's teasing the frisbee, and he throws it right into like a rope, and it comes back. It was great. But the people, I honestly thought, I don't know how you felt, but when he came out, I thought the people loved him. Like I thought he actually was pretty over.
Oh yeah, he was.
But
for sure.
Michael Buffer says, like they have him on, which honestly it gets old after a while. I don't know how you feel about Michael Buffer, but it's like it's weird to me that he's just like it's too much sort of in a way. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, he's more of the main event guy. Like
yeah,
I was okay with them using him, but just for main events would have been nice.
Exactly. That's how I felt too.
Yeah.
So he says it's actually, but like this is cool, I guess, because he told us more about the match. But so he says this match is for a number 1 contendership for Sting's US belt.
Yes.
So this isn't just like a regular match, which like this is there's a stipulation on the line. Winner, it's number 1 contendership. So Pillman's the heel. I mean, he's getting booed because Bad's pretty much. Like, I couldn't believe he was this over. I just really couldn't, because I only knew him as Mark Marrow, which was a failure.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Sable
it's weird.
was
right.
The one that was over there. Yeah.
Right. But it was weird, right? Because Flying Brian is like the clear heel. But like they shake hands. Like that was weird. Was that weird to you that they shook hands? Kind of like a respect thing?
Well, I don't think it was clear at this point, because during the match it seemed like he was going full heel.
Right. Okay. See, that's what I thought, that maybe that the match was supposed to turn him.
Mm-hmm.
At least start hitting out something. But like, I don't know. Like, I still don't know if it was weird to see, is what I'm saying from the first thing. Like, it was just kind of, because I thought he was just heel the whole time. But
yeah, it's hard that because we're diving right into it. Like right. I assumed the first Nitro we saw Pillman versus Liger.
Yeah.
Luger, I almost said, yeah, Liger. And they both came across as faces there.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I don't know about you, but this is, and again, they do the handshake, so I'm assuming he's a babyface at this point. But as we go through, there are a couple notes I jotted down, and I thought they did some brilliant stuff here.
Yep, I agree. So getting into the match, the bell rings. It's a lot of chain wrestling at first. They do the drop kick leapfrogs into like the double drop kick spot where it's like, they kick each other's feet.
Yep.
I put down like Marrow actually could wrestle, dude. Like after I saw this, I was like, holy shit! Like, dude, he's moving. He's like,
oh yeah, he was
pretty technically sound.
Yep.
It goes into some rest holds. Sometimes it gets like a little sloppy, but it wasn't anything to write home about. Pillman really took control of the match, I thought, at a certain point. He does a cool flying head scissors into a near fall. And after he does this, bro, I don't know if you saw this. Well, I'm sure you did, but like right here is when I noticed. I had to rewind it. But Johnny B. Bad's like busted open from this. I don't know if he hit his head. Like I tried to rewind it and find it. But he was pretty cut around the eye area, and he was bleeding the whole match, which I thought was awesome. But I don't think he bladed or anything. I think it was definitely just like took a bad bump, hit his head, knee to the face, something. Like he was cut. Yeah,
I think so too. I couldn't find where it was either, but the announcers weren't making a big deal out of it. So I figured, an accident happened somewhere.
Right, yeah. So Johnny B. Bad fights back, and they go into like a shitty chokehold, right? And then Pillman gets the momentum back, and at one point Heenan goes, bang his head on the ground and ring his bell after like a near fall for Pillman. Which I thought like that just couldn't fly today, but I laughed at the time. Like it was funny.
Yep.
So Pillman's like in control, and he goes, "Who's a bad man now?" Like to the camera, and he laughs. He does like his crazy Pillman laugh. So I thought that this was kind of the first point in the match where he was, healing it up a little bit more. Like you could really tell, like this whole match, he's really in control, and he's doing a lot of like choke holds and stuff like that. Something very heelish. They did this like sick tilt-a-whirl backbreaker spot that was like shades of Eddie. It's funny you mentioned him earlier, but like it looked like an Eddie Guerrero backbreaker, but it was Johnny B. Bad doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go into this, dude, I called it the motorcycle spot. It's a submission where like Johnny B. Bad was stretching him, but it looked like really bad for some reason. But it looked like he was like riding a handlebar mustache or like a handlebar like
chopper. I know the spot you're talking about. Yeah.
Because he put his legs there and he just held his arms, and it just looked kind of bad, but it was kind of funny. And then after this, like a little bit more wrestling, just standard stuff. Pillman goes. I said Pillman going full heel. He tries to leave the match, and then he gets back in the ring and he goes for a handshake. And Johnny B. Bad acts like he's gonna punch him, but like instead of doing the handshake, so basically Johnny B. Bad, like he's annoyed. He's lost all of Pillman's trust there at this point, right? Like there's no trust within the two. Like Pillman's basically healing it up.
Yeah, before this spot, there was like, I think there were 3 instances where like they did the handshake in the beginning, but then at one spot, Pillman punched him out of nowhere.
Yeah,
and it was kind of like, okay, that's not part of the match. He punched him.
Yep.
Then he was getting frustrated, and then he pushed him once.
Mm-hmm.
And as this is going on, I'm going, wait a minute, he's like really going full-fledged heel. And then there was a third part where he was just going to leave the ring.
Yep.
And he just left, and he was walking up the ramp.
So they're really turning him.
Yeah.
Like I mean, it's not like he's doing anything super despicable yet, but you can tell like he's just he's more going like frustrated heel, I think, where he's like doing anything to win type of thing.
Right. He's starting to dig down.
Right.
It should be mentioned too during the match. And oh my God, Tony and Heenan did a great job here, but they were talking about, I think it was Tony brought up the fact that Sting trained Johnny B. Bad.
Mm-hmm.
So they did a decent job hyping up this being a number 1 contender match for Sting.
Because, winner, it'd be Johnny B. Bad versus Sting. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, there was a spot where Heenan goes, so you're telling me he trained Johnny B. Bad, and Tony's like trying to explain it, and he goes, and Bobby goes, so he's his pet.
Yeah.
And Tony's like, well, I wouldn't call him his pet. And he goes, roll over, sit. It was just classic Heenan.
Dude,
as Tony's talking, he's just blurting stuff out. Like
this is what the third show. This is the third WCW show since this podcast started, and like he's just every show he just amazes me with something funny. Like he's so good. Like I wish I would have been alive and been able to have been like a huge fan back when he was color, because he was just awesome.
He was fantastic.
So yeah, they do that handshake. They do the heel stuff. Bad hits an awesome springboard leg drop into a near fall, and then they do like a who got who spot. And after the who got who spot, it was great because they were down for a while. They get up and they do a headbutt where I think Pillman headbutted Johnny B. Bad or something, and they both fell back down again into like a 5 count or something, like a last minute stand. Like it was like the who got who, and then they headbutt each other and they both take the damage. It was great, I thought.
Yes, yeah. There was a lot of great storytelling in this match.
Yes. Suplex to outside, and Pillman he eats shit, and then Bad over the top. Bad gets drop kicked trying to come off the top into a 2 count. This is just basically a near fall fest. There's sit out power bombs.
Yes. There's
this awesome tombstone by Pillman. Like he really, like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just like he put a lot of power right there. That's with 3 minutes left, okay? And then this is where I put an asterisk. This is a very good match. And then there's a minute left, okay? So it was a 20-minute time limit. So if it hits 20 minutes, they go to a draw, right? That's what Buffer said at the beginning of the match.
Yes.
So with a minute left, he does a Russian leg sweep into an arm bar. 60-second countdown's on. Bad gets his arm up with 30 seconds. Like, Buffer's literally saying this over. Like, he's giving us updates like 30, 15, right?
Mm-hmm.
Face buster into the Tutti Frutti, which is the name of Johnny B. Bad's finisher, into a near fall. And then Pillman gets a flying clothesline near fall. And as time expires, right? At the near fall, the time already expires, so there's no winner. And I said time expires, but Nick Patrick is God, so it goes to sudden death OT. Like they just made this up on the spot. Like he's better at the camera, and like the no GM comes out, no like you know what I mean. He just goes, I just got word, blah blah blah. Like we're doing this, but like they didn't do anything to set that up. It was just him saying we're going into sudden death overtime, and Heenan goes, first time I've ever heard that in wrestling.
Yeah.
So I thought that was great. So they do another like last man standing spot, a couple sleeper holds, Pillman suplex into a failed Pillman superplex. Then Johnny B. Bad hits this great diving sunset flip for like a 2 3/4. There's like a spiked hurricane. Dude, this is just high spots galore at this point. It's just near fall, high spots, near fall. They do a Pillman crucifix. He has Johnny B. Bad in a crucifix spot. and he just throws him back into like a Samoan drop, which I thought was dope.
Yes. That was nice.
He hits It's a Bad Day, which is a top rope Hurricane Rana. And then Pillman hits a great DDT from the top for another near fall. Crotch spot. And Bad throws him into the rail. Suicide dive. This is just, I don't know, dude. It was just, at this point, it was like, I was like kind of blown away at these guys and the storytelling.
I was completely blown away.
And then, dude, I thought this was cool. Pillman like crotched himself going for like a dive. And then Johnny B. Bad eventually wins after Who Got Who spot, where like it was kind of cool. I thought. I don't know how you felt about this finish. It was.
I love the finish. It was after the good.
It was just like it was like a crossbody. So like, but it's just like Johnny B. Bad had more power, so he's the one who landed it. But they both did a crossbody to each other. And I thought it was cool. So he finally got the win in 29-14. So it was a 30-minute match to open.
Yeah. I think they may have been both on the outside, because I just wrote last exchange, and I can picture the last exchange, but I can't remember what led right up to it.
Right.
But I don't know if you noticed, but they actually ran like they were saving it. They ran full speed at each other, and they ducked each other's clotheslines. So they kind of have that fast action of the Irish whip leapfrog thing that these guys are doing at this time period.
Yep.
And then they full speed duck again, and then that's when they hit the crossbody when they come back. They both hit each other, but Johnny got the better end of it and got the 1, 2, 3. But I was watching this match, and if you're listening, I think you just did a good job, Q, with the specifics and the near falls and the specifics and the near falls and the move and the near fall. But go back and watch this match if you're listening, because I was thinking, wow, this is like, I don't want to say it was on the level of Steamboat Macho.
Yeah.
88, whenever that was, 86, whatever year that was. But this was it kind of had the same vibe to it. It wasn't as,
important. It didn't feel as important.
Right. But it may have been as good in a sense, but it was different. It wasn't as pretty,
yeah.
Technically.
I legitimately like watched this, and I was like because I thought about it I paused the pay-per-view after this. And obviously we couldn't talk about it yet because we were saving our thoughts for this, but like I wanted to text you and be like, dude, this is like the best wrestling match I've seen in years. Like This match was incredible, guys. Like it was like we can't do it justice. Like obviously we can tell you the storyline, like the way they did things is good, and I can break down the spots and stuff, but the timing, they had incredible timing. There were no botches at all, really, throughout the whole thing, which I was surprised about because they were working at a pretty fast pace at a certain point.
Yeah, they were.
Like, they just had some kind of chemistry. And this is, like, one of those things, once again, where it's, like, it made me think, like, yo, like, what did they do to Mark Marrow to screw him up in WWF? And I wish Pillman was still here type thing. Like,
yeah, I wonder if he actually even got, like, an injury between here and WWF, but this was not Mark Marrow. He was really good in this match.
Dude, and you can't just say Pillman's a great worker and that's why this was a great match. Like, dude, he was doing some incredible shit, I thought, throughout the whole, like, and honestly, like, I don't like this was just one of those things where like you said, Macho Steamboat, it's like two guys with a certain chemistry. You can see it coming through the screen, and like everything timing wise, it's just boom, 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 it's clicking.
Yep.
And it was seriously, like, I think it's the best wrestling match I've seen in a while, dude. Like, it really is.
I would say so far since we've been doing this, so we're only 3 weeks in, but this is by far the match of...
Oh, yeah.
Match of the year candidate right here for
Absolutely.
this, where we're at.
And honestly, I'll be surprised if I watch something and I'm like, this will beat it. Like, I'm surprised if, like, I'll see something and I'm like, oh my God, that was better. Because I was really blown away by this match. I really, really was.
This actually made me do something that I never do.
What's that?
I Googled Meltzer's star rating for Flying Brian and Johnny B. Bad at Fall Brawl 95. 4 stars. Because I didn't think, in the annals of every single wrestling match that guy does.
Right.
New Japan, he's all over the place. He does everything. I thought, I never heard of this match. I never heard of it, held in any esteem or anything. I never heard it mentioned. And sure enough, there it was, 4 stars. I thought, wow, good job, Meltzer, because I'm not a big Meltzer fan, but I thought, that's fair. That this is a 4-star match.
I would argue. I'm not saying it'd be a 5-star, but I'm saying like if these two are more over and they actually had a storyline and they had put on the same match, this could have been higher. I think. Like
absolutely.
This was like guys, this is like if this was Rock and Austin and they did the same shit. And it was like for the title or something at Mania, this could be like a 5-star spot in people's minds because they just didn't have a lot of, like they didn't have a big fan base behind them. They didn't feel important, but the work, the actual in-ring work and the story they told was amazing.
Yes.
So I like seriously, guys, like this made me go on our Twitter and be like, yo, what's everyone's thoughts on Mark Marrow? And at Pro Wrestling Hipster, he commented, he said, never thought he should have been anywhere near the card like he was at. He was never good, whatever, but I think that he was awesome here. I really did. I thought Johnny be bad.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. Like, and I know Pillman got banged up eventually, but when I just hear the words in general, Brian Pillman, I think of WWF '97 Hart Foundation Pillman, crazy Pillman, Stone Cold, that Pillman's house with the gun Pillman.
Pillman 911. Yeah. or 9mm, whatever.
9mm Pillman.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is again, I'm glad we're going back and watching this because now I've seen Flying Brian matches before, but now like I really get the sense of who he was as a wrestler.
I agree. And the thing too, like you said earlier, like I don't think I ever would have heard of this match if we didn't watch this.
Exactly.
Like if you Google it, like people, like I'm surprised literally like people don't talk about this as like a standard for like great mid-card work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this is like Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko stuff.
Yes.
But like people don't talk about this. Like it's crazy, dude. It is nuts how good this match was.
And like you said, they kicked this show off 30 minutes. 30-minute match.
And you know what's great about that too? I forgot to mention this. I meant to talk about this. The pace that they did, like it started out boring, and it slowly crept up. It got the crowd so hot, dude, because they paced it and told the story the right way. Mm-hmm. This is literally if I'm running a wrestling promotion, I want my mid-carders and my openers to go watch this match and be like, guys, this is exactly the pace you should work at. Yep. This is the story you should tell. This is how we're going to get people to get hyped for the pay-per-view. Go out there and have a match similar to this because, like I'm telling you, this is like the standard for all mid-card work. But it's even better than that. Like I said, if Rock and Austin had this type of match, it's like people would think it's one of the greatest of all time. Obviously, like, that's a lot of hypotheticals, but this is a really great match.
Yep, and it more than did its job as the first match of the show.
Yeah, this is like, I mean,
perfect. It's perfect.
It is 1-for-1, and honestly, in a way, it's so hard to top. It's like, you know what I mean? Like it's one of those double-edged swords where it's like, oh, is anything gonna beat this pay-per-view? like this is like, and you guys will see when we run down, but it's tough, man. It's tough.
Yep.
Definitely set the bar high for Flair and Arn, especially, I would think.
Definitely.
I feel like Arn came back, or they came back, and they were just like, shit, like, we got to top that somehow.
Yep.
So Johnny B. Bad's #1 contender for Sting's belt, and they went 29-14. Pretty crazy. Mm-hmm. So after this, we got the announcers hyping the card, basically, and then we go to a Flair interview with Mean Gene. Keep in mind, we're in Asheville, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Hyping 4 Horsemen, the symbol of excellence. He puts up the 4. He talks about Arm. We became what life's all about. We bled, slept, ate, cried together. Horsemen, whatever. And then Gene says something like, "Do you hate Arn Anderson? Like, do you want to like hurt him badly?" Blah blah blah. Flair goes, "The problem is that I love him."
Mm-hmm. Right? That's a great line. Yep.
He goes, "There's only one king of the hill," and he goes, "It's gonna be the Nature Boy," and he woos, and that's the interview. But this was classic Flair doing his thing, and I love the fact that the angle they're doing with this isn't that they hate each other, it's that they love each other so much that Arn is mad about the way Flair's been conducting himself, and he doesn't think he's old Ric Flair. We'll get to that later because there's another.
Yes.
Arn gets some mic time, but basically they're building this as like they love each other, but they have to beat some sense into each other type thing.
Yep.
Which
this is a family arguing. Yep. Sometimes you have to fight it out. And this was by far like classic vintage Ric Flair promo.
Great promo, dude.
Yep. Perfect.
So we go into match 2 now. This was great, I thought.
This was interesting stuff right here.
I was like, this is one of those things where you look at it and you're like, yep, it's 1995.
Mm-hmm.
and it's WCW. It was one of those both things. So we got Cobra. That's his name, Cobra. CIA.
Cobra.
I put CIA guy in parentheses. He's like
little trivia. Now, I did not know Cobra, and I did not know Pitbull Sergeant Craig Pittman.
Yeah.
But I do know who Cobra is. Are you aware of who he is?
No. Is he? He's not Sarge, is he? Like the power plant guy? Or he's too big for that? I don't think he's that.
No, he was fake Sting in the future.
Dude, no.
The NWO Sting. Yep.
Oh, Cobra eventually gets paid a lot of money for no reason.
True. Now, Heenan made it clear on the entrance, and this is what you were alluding to. He's not a Marine. He's a CIA Special Forces. And did you notice that from the time Cobra started coming down the aisle until the bell ended the match, Heenan was all about military.
He was.
Perfect. It was everything he said was like a military thing.
It was, dude. He would, and I mean, keep in mind this match was it lasted a minute and a half. So spoiler alert, it lasted a minute and a half, but still, it was great that he was having all these quotes, dude. So I put he might have worse music than Isaac Yankem. If you guys listen to the last episode, you know how badly we hate it. Because this one, dude, so Yankem's got the zzz drill bit, but he's got like radio static.
I'm so glad you said that, because when I heard it, I thought, oh my God, it's Yankem. It's just the same.
But it's just radio static. It's like, it's not even, is it radio? It's more like, it's like Morse code sort of in a way.
Yeah, it was Morse code. It was like the beeps. Yeah.
It's like, and he's like walking in the ring, dude. It's, oh my God. I
thought it was going to be an intro at first, and then I just started laughing. Because
so did I.
Just like
it was the whole thing. He makes it to the ring, and it's still happening, and I was just laughing. So I guess this is like what? Like we don't know much about this angle, but Sergeant Craig Pittman, I guess, was like his boss or something. Mm-hmm. And I'm assuming there was like a blowout where Cobra wanted to do his own CIA thing, but Pittman wanted to keep him in the military stable. I don't really know.
I'm assuming, yeah, something like that, maybe.
But so as Pittman's music's playing, right? Did you notice who comes out? It's like so he sends one of his lackeys out, and the announcer's like, "Oh, who's this? This isn't Pittman." And Cobra's like doing the spot in the ring, like, "Where is he? Where is he?" Right? Did you notice who was wearing the army gear?
No, I did not.
Prince Iakea.
Really?
Yep. If I couldn't even find it on Google. I just knew it was him, dude. They
just said he must be a private.
Yep, he was the private in the same.
Wow.
He was crazy, but it was Prince Iakea before it was Prince Iakea. So they send him out. He doesn't do anything. He walks to the ring, right? And Heenan's kind of building up the fact that like, oh, he's got to like beat him for his sergeant, whatever. Then he can get Pittman. But instead, Pittman comes down from the building like he's Sting in 1997, and Cobra is selling like he has no idea the entire time. But I don't know how he doesn't know, dude. But it's great because it was so entertaining, because it's hilarious, because it's literal military stuff, like and CIA stuff coming down from the ceiling. He beat Cobra at his own game, maybe. And dude, he comes in, Pittman beats him up for like a minute.
Wait before you get there. Okay, so we have to paint the picture there. It's Wargames, so they have two rings set up side by side.
Two cages.
And right, so you have Cobra in the one ring with the private on the apron. Mm-hmm. And you see Pittman rappelling down like a soldier over the other ring. He unhooks, and he doesn't just go into the ring. He gets down on all fours, and he's crawling, and he goes under the ropes like it's freaking tripwire. He's crawling into the second ring under the ropes. I totally busted out laughing.
Dude,
when I saw
this is one of the things
amazing
where like you have to just sometimes enjoy pro wrestling for like
he was across enemy lines. And he's taking it totally serious. It's great.
And, oh my God, I just don't know how like Heenan keeps it together, and like because they weren't like laughing or anything. They were like, oh, he's behind. Like they were saying the military stuff, like you said.
Yep.
They were really building it like a storyline. It's one of those things where you just gotta enjoy pro wrestling for like all the stupid shit that happens. You know what I mean? Yep. It was so funny. It was entertaining just for like pure entertainment reasons, right? Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's seriously like you guys are gonna listen to this and you're gonna know what's happening. But like when you watch it for the first time, and you don't know where he is. and you just think like legitimately like it's the Protai Kea in the private is gonna wrestle him, and like you just see him come down with camo and face paint from the rafters. Like it is great stuff. It's funny.
It's insane. It's great. I loved it.
But yeah, so he wins in like a minute and a half with the Code Red armbar.
Code Red. Yep.
As in, Code Red, Black Hawk down. So yeah. The next segment. You ready for this? This
if
is
anyone's
great.
seen A Few Good Men, classic Tom Cruise, Jack Nicholson movie.
Ooh.
Code Red.
Code Red.
If you haven't seen it, watch it. You'll know what a Code Red is.
Pow. You ready for the next segment?
Oh, dude, I'm picturing Pittman crawling under the ring ropes. It's just amazing. Okay, go ahead. I'm ready.
This segment's more amazing than.
Oh.
Do you remember? You remember. Now you know.
I just looked down at my paper and it says, "I am Mr. Wonderful." That's all I wrote because this is amazing.
So it's a backstage, right? And it's just Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff, who at this point I think is old, dude. Like he's up. He was in like this is 15. No, I guess 12 years from Mania 1. So like,
yeah. So I did some Googling on this spot.
Yeah.
And apparently at this time period, Mr. Wonderful was just back. It's WCW, so they're getting all the old guys.
Mm-hmm.
And he's back, and he didn't quite have the run that they thought they were going to use him.
Right.
So he kind of got lost in the mid-card shuffle at this point. And I guess he's feeling like he's not Mr. Wonderful anymore. That's the gist of this amazing angle that they shot. Amazing. This was unbelievable.
So he's looking in a mirror basically, and he basically is like, "Who am I? Who is Miss?" He's like, "Mr." He's like, "I don't see Mr. Wonderful. I'm not. This isn't Mr. Wonderful." And he just keeps repeating himself, and they do quick cuts of like just different parts of the mirror of him looking in the mirror, right? Mm-hmm. And he's flipping out. He's like, "I'm not Mr. Wonderful. This isn't Mr. Wonderful. I don't deserve to be Mr. Wonderful." And he goes, this guy, Gary Spivey, shows up, do you know who Gary Spivey is?
Yes.
Okay. You gotta describe it, because like I'm young, obviously.
All right, so they called it the Psychic Companions Network.
Okay.
But this is kind of like a spoof on the Psychic Friends Network. So this is we're 95.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm back in high school now. As long as I can remember, there was something called the Psychic Friends Network. And basically all it was like, I'd see it a lot late night MTV. You're watching Beavis and Butthead, whatever. They would roll these commercials where you can call a phone psychic.
Okay.
900 number, whatever. They charge you out the ass and you're talking to a psychic and they do the psychic reading over the phone. So It was called Psychic Friends Network. So Gary Spivey was apparently back then, he was a psychic, but he was kind of more like a radio type. I don't want to say he was a total spoof shock jock type thing, but he did make a boatload of money off, being a supposed psychic. So he shows up in Wonderful's locker room.
And he goes, "I got a vision to help you, like Mr. Wonderful." And he keeps telling him to look in the mirror. Who do you see? And Mr. Wonderful keeps saying, "This isn't Mr. Wonderful. I don't know who this is. Like, who am I?" Right? And eventually, after Gary Spivey just keeps saying, "Look in the mirror now. Who do you see?" Like, I had a vision, right? And he goes, eventually, like after like a minute and a half of this, he finally goes, "I see Mr. Wonderful." And he has like this realization, and he's like, "I am Mr. Wonderful."
And now listen, if you're listening to this, you think Q here is just not explaining it well. But he's perfect, because all he said was, "I'm not Mr. Wonderful, I'm not Mr." And then he switched it. He's like, "I am Mr. Wonderful."
That's all that's said the whole time.
And he just kept saying it over and over and over for like 2 minutes. It was amazing.
The only line that he says that's different, pretty much, is he goes, "I am Mr. Wonderful. I see Mr. Wonderful." He goes, "I look better than I ever did before."
Yes.
And then he goes, and then Gary Spivey eventually is like, "I had a vision. Like, yes, I knew this would happen, blah, blah, blah." And it ends with him saying, "I am Mr. Wonderful." And he starts like kissing his biceps. And he goes, "I am Mr. Wonderful." And he just keeps kissing different parts of his arms. And then he kisses himself. It ends with him kissing himself in the mirror, like kissing himself on the lips in the mirror. And then they cut back to the announcers, and like it's it's not the most bizarre thing they've ever seen. And he goes, "Well, it looks like Mr. Wonderful might have found himself again. Maybe he'll be back. Who knows?" Like,
Yeah.
but like it wasn't the craziest thing they've ever seen. But this is hilarious. Like honestly, this is 4 segments into like the show in general, and like I'm having a great time watching this. Like it was just a great it's a great stupid like in between matches like funny entertaining promo. But yeah, this is kind of the stuff you sometimes miss in like present pro wrestling. It's just like stupid stuff like this is so good. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, this makes you laugh your ass off.
Yeah, that's all we ask of it. It's not supposed to be like great.
Right, exactly. And I'm actually interested to see where they go with this, because are they legitimately going to push Mr. Wonderful again? Because that's what it feels like.
They are. Like, I mean, he might be being put. Like, I don't think it's necessarily supposed to be a comedy thing, but to us it kind of was. But like, it's interesting to see if they're, like you said, they're actually going to push him as a legitimate. Like, he found his form again. You know what I mean?
Right.
So this was just great. This was funny. Like, definitely go watch this, guys.
This is classic pro wrestling right here.
It is. It was so good.
100%.
So after he figures out he's Mr. Wonderful again, we go to match 3, which is DDP with the Diamond Doll, aka Kimberly, and Max Muscle against. Well, first, before we say who it's against, wasn't it weird like DDP coming out and you didn't hear like self high five?
Yes.
Like Team Spirit. It was weird.
Yeah.
This is way before that even. And as they're walking to the ring, because Kimberly's like obviously like a dime, like she's a babe.
Yeah.
Shivani goes, "This reminds me of when the hot girl dated like the high school dirtbag in high school."
That was a great line.
And I was like, "Yep." And then he asks Heenan, he's like, "Doesn't this remind you of that? Whatever, kind of like you, Heenan." And he goes, "I don't know what you're talking about. Like I picked who I wanted to date in high school." He did great, but so this is for the TV title, and the TV champ is Renegade. Now, who's Renegade? You might be wondering. He is WCW's basically parody of the Ultimate Warrior.
Yes.
But this is like, this is 95. It's not like Warrior has wrestled in WWF for a while at this point. So
yeah, this was actually, I had to Google it because I knew there was actually a Warrior connection to this guy.
Yeah.
And I couldn't remember what it was, but I knew it was just more than the obvious. And what I found was when this guy debuted, I think it was the beginning of this year or the end of 94.
Okay.
But Hogan actually teased he was going to have the ultimate surprise coming. And when he did, I guess they showed this guy's silhouette in a vignette, and everybody legitimately thought he was the Ultimate Warrior coming.
And turns out.
No, it's just
guy. And this guy
Renegade.
too. I mean, I know like it's not. They're cracking down on steroids around this time, but he's totally not big at all. Like he's nowhere near like Ultimate Warrior's physique as far as like like I mean
right.
Obviously like he's big, but he's not like he's not like he's the poor man's Ultimate Warrior.
Poor man's Ultimate Warrior. Perfect. Yep.
But like he does the same stuff. Like he has a hype song that sounds like Ultimate Warrior song, and he sprints to the ring.
Yep. Kind of headbangs.
Headbangs. Yeah. He's supposed to be the Ultimate Warrior. Like,
but I will say, throughout the match, I think Renegade may have had a little bit more athletic ability.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I thought.
I mean, he was doing some stuff that I was surprised to see.
Especially like because I'm not saying he wasn't big because he like this guy's big. You know what I mean? It's just he's not like Ultimate Warrior's physique type thing.
Right.
So this is the Ultimate Warrior's parody
with Jimmy Hart, by the way.
Yeah, with Jimmy Hart, which I thought was he always somehow finds a way into being involved in a match. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like we'll just be like, oh, Jimmy Hart's here, like cool. But yeah, so they start the match, and DDP headbutts Renegade as one of the first spots, and DDP flies out of the ring, and Renegade's like just chilling. I thought it was pretty cool. And then he does like an oversew where he walks into the ring post and then jumps over the guardrail, and he goes into the crowd, like all from this headbutt.
Oh my god, he was overselling the entire match.
It was so good. Like I actually enjoyed this match for basically just because of DDP. So they have this gimmick right now where every time DDP does something,
I love this.
Kimberly Page, like his wife, Diamond Doll, she gets a 10. Like it's basically like what Ty Dillinger used to do, but she actually has signs. Like
right.
This was obviously before Ty Dillinger too. She has signs where she just holds it up and she walks like it's like a boxing match or something, And then so at one point, right, DDP does like a cool neck breaker, and she's right by the camera, and she goes, not again. And she picks up the 10, and she walks it again, and it's just great. It's so good.
Yeah, it was funny too because he like forces her to do it.
Yep.
Like he just looks over at her, and she's like, "Oh, I gotta do this again."
And it's kind of funny because like the whole thing, it's like you can tell Kimberly's kind of like annoyed with DDP throughout the whole match. So I don't know if they're building tension there or something.
Right.
But right. So like you could tell like he's basically like Kimberly's kind of a face. Kimberly's a face basically, and Paige is a heel at this point. Like that's what it comes across. Where like he is just kind of like treating her like garbage and whatever. But this is a great gimmick that she's doing. I think it's hilarious. But yeah. So DDP, I thought even here in '95 when he was a little bit younger than like world champ in '99 or the good runs he had against the NWO as like their number one adversary other than Sting. I thought his like offense was really cool and he was really unique selling, and he was definitely not a normal. I was thinking about it for '95. He wasn't like a normal wrestler for '95. You know what I mean? Like I thought he was unique to the point where he was like different from everyone and really stood out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think what made him unique was like years before that he was a manager basically, and like he was with the Freebirds a lot. And then when he started wrestling, it was like because he's not cut up, he's not huge. He's different. He's definitely unique.
Right.
I don't know, almost like more believable. Like he's just a regular guy that's fighting his ass off.
And I think in a way, like I like the fact they make him a heel because he's good at it. But if he wasn't good, I think he's a natural babyface for those reasons. Because he's like Austin, kind of. Like in a way, he's like relatable, like Austin was later.
Yeah. That's
in a weird way. I mean, but it is crazy because he's like, dude, he's really tall. Like I didn't realize how tall he was.
Yeah.
But he doesn't really have a body, which is great. But
so let me ask you that. Like I thought this match came off like a little bit cartoonish with the overselling and stuff, but
it did.
But that being said, like. And I realize we're in a weird time period because we're like transitioning from one thing to like one era to the next era. But it's so interesting because this is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this podcast. But Flying Brian, Johnny B. Bad.
Yep.
4-star match. Then you had the Flair promo. So it's like serious wrestling. Then you had the 80s, throwback Cobra Pitbull stuff. Mm-hmm. And then you had the Mr. Wonderful thing, and now you have this match, which was almost like cartoonish.
Right.
Like you're seeing like this smorgasbord, but also like a transition from one era to the next. And I thought it was really interesting because after I saw this match, I was like, wow, like they're really hitting each audience.
Yeah, I think like you said, like Dave Bischoff definitely had like because you said this even after we watched the first Nitro, you said about how. It's crazy how much of like the stuff he wanted to do he was doing. I think he's just really good dude at like being a businessman and being like people like different things and like we need to give them all these things. And like I think he, like you said, like this pay-per-view right now is a great example of that. Even though it's not Monday Night Live primetime TV, like everything like I mean us as just like hardcore pro wrestling fans, right? Mm-hmm. Like even we can watch these and enjoy the cartoony stuff because we're not getting. It's not all the time. It's everything's different, so there's a little bit of everything, right?
Yes, there's variety here.
That's why I think it works. I think that's why it did work for them for so many years. Obviously, before the politics came in and whatever, like the WCW story. But yeah, you're right. Like it is crazy that every segment's a little bit different.
Yep.
But yeah, so at one point he does a reversal. And Heenan goes, "Sweetheart, get the numbers," and he does. But so the end of the match is kind of confused. Like it's dumb, sort of, but like it's cartoony, like you said. So it was expected. So Max Muscle, like the muscle for DDP, basically big jacked guy. He wears like the pink tuxedo, whatever, with sleeves. Renegade can go for a win, but instead he jumps on Max Muscle, like he goes for the pin on Max Muscle, basically. He jumped outside of the ring and jumps on Max Muscle.
Yes.
And DDP's about ready to lose, right? Mm-hmm. And it just didn't make a lot. Like it was obviously like a cartoony thing, but like it just didn't make much sense. But then I thought the finish was pretty cool. Max Muscle's holding Renegade's legs from outside the ring, and DDP hits a diamond cutter. And Kimberly's like annoyed that he won that way, but that's how DDP wins the TV title. He basically cheats with Max Muscle, and I just thought it was a kind of a unique finish for a cartoony kind of match, you know.
Yeah, I'm with you there, but there's one part of it that I didn't like, and I actually had to rewind it because I watched it and I'm like, what the hell just happened there?
Yeah.
But everything you said was dead on, except for the fact that when he first jumped out at Mad Max, was it Mad Max is his name?
Max
yeah,
Muscle.
Max Muscle.
Yeah.
Jimmy Hart actually jumps up on the other side of the ring.
Right.
And he's actually causing an accidental distraction because he's telling the ref, like, Max is getting involved, do something. And the ref has his back turned as DDP's cheating. So I thought that was weird. Like, all Jimmy had to do was jump down.
Yeah. Or just say, look right now or something, right?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like, once again, it's one of those WCW things where there's a little bit of weird booking towards the end of this match.
Right. Yeah.
And like this one didn't. I mean, this one I don't. It's not like a major storyline. It's not like something that I would be like super angry about at the time.
Right. Exactly.
But it's definitely one of the chinks in the armor that we've come to see even in the first three. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And yeah, it's just. I know what you. I didn't even like think about it like that at the time. But you're right. You're totally right. Like that's another one of those weird things. And even the Renegade jumping out at Max Muscle thing was the thing. That's the thing I noticed where I was like, yeah that just doesn't make sense either.
Yep.
But then again, we don't really know the character of the Renegade that much yet. So like maybe at the time it makes sense, you know?
That's true too. Yeah.
But yeah. So
DDP, new champ.
DDP, new champ, TV champ after 8 minutes. Kimberly's annoyed because, he cheated basically to win. And she's Kimberly and she's trying to face it up, but he's dirty scumbag DDP. And after the match, Shivani goes, that was the longest Renegade match ever, I think. And so they transition from that, and they talk about Sherry and Colonel Rob Parker, Sensational Sherry. I guess she was, Sister Sherry?
Sister Sherry, yeah.
Because she's with Harlem Heat.
For the record, I love Sherry. I think she's one of the best managers / valets, especially women.
Dude,
by far the best.
I was watching something from the 80s. Or like early 90s the other day, and dude, she in this match too, she gets involved, but dude, she's so athletic. Like she was a wrestler. Like she was like the AWA champ, I think, for a while, or the women's champ. But dude, she like takes crazy bumps. Like I've seen her get involved more than really any manager ever as far as like physical stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's great. I love Sherry too. But
yeah, she's awesome.
So Colonel Robert Parker, he's basically the Southern boy, and he has a stable. So they are in a romantic link right now, right? And Heenan goes, they've been bit by the love bug. And he talks about, dude, this part's great. Like, I love this part. It's literally just the Heenan and Shivani on screen. And Heenan's like, but aren't they going to have beautiful kids, Shivani? And he's like, Shivani's literally about to lose his shit.
Yep.
And he goes, I don't know. And then... and then Heenan goes, in their little hats and their little dresses, and then Shivani finally loses his shit, and he's like, he literally just says, "Go to the ring," like as he's laughing.
Yep, he cracked him. Yeah, so, that was good stuff.
So yeah, basically, anyway, from getting at like that's just great, another great Heenan thing. But So Sherry, basically the big storyline coming into this match, which we didn't even get any of on Nitro, which I was kind of surprised about the way they're building.
Yeah,
this. I don't know how you felt, but basically. Sherry is managing Harlem Heat, Booker, and Stevie Ray, and Colonel Rob Parker is managing Bunkhouse Buck and Dirty Dick Slater, who are the champs, the tag team champs. But they're basically all the wrestlers involved. It's kind of a cool storyline where like the wrestlers are the backdrop, but all the wrestlers are almost weirdly are on the same side of like we're worried about our managers.
Yeah. This was an interesting setup. The storyline in general.
They were basically like, yeah, like they were worried that they were gonna screw things up for the managers were gonna screw things up for the team.
Yep.
But they still had to wrestle each other. Like they were worried about so many different underlying things, which I thought was like it was actually pretty cool to have like other. It was like a storyline where it wasn't just tag team against tag team. It's like there's like what I'm saying. There's like other things going on, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
So Bunkhouse Buck and Dirty Dick Slater. I think Dick Slater was a lot better in the ring as far as this match went.
Yeah, definitely. He's a seasoned veteran at this point.
Yeah, and Bunkhouse Buck I just thought was pretty awful. I'm not gonna lie, he was pretty abysmal.
Yeah, he wasn't that good.
So this match, so there's a funny part, right? Like where this match was, I don't know how you felt. It was tremendously boring for me. Like it really dragged on.
That's what I've written down here. Way too long of a match.
Yeah, there was a certain point, I think, where I was literally just like on my phone or on Twitter or something, because like it got to the point where like even we're reviewing these and taking notes, and they were just doing the same thing for like an extended 10 minutes or something.
Yeah,
this match lasted 16 minutes and 49 seconds, and it should have been a 5-minute match, I thought.
Yeah, normally like I like the old school psychology of a tag match, and Dirty Dick and Bunkhouse Buck are like the perfect old school throwback guys that I usually like.
Right.
But it's like when you get that match and it's like 2.5 minutes where the bad guys cut the ring in half.
Yeah.
Perfect. But they literally had the upper hand in this match for what felt like an hour.
Yeah, dude. And also, too, I don't know if this probably had something to do with it, but like it's 95 at the time. And I thought that like potentially maybe Booker T and Stevie Ray are just green at the time. So, like, you didn't really have, at least as far as I was concerned, you didn't really have, like, a good workers in there, I thought. Like, Booker was still, like, obviously we know what Booker becomes. But I don't know how you felt. I just didn't think there was, like, a lot of... The work being done in the ring was pretty just bad and boring. And not that, the guys are bad, but it's just, like, it's too long. Like you said, just too long.
Yep, way too long.
So the ending... like is just the Nasty Boys get involved, but the ending basically. So there's the two rings, and this is a kind of a cool way to like. I
loved this part of it.
I did too. So the guys are in the left ring, right, from the hard cam. They're in the left ring, the wrestling match, and Harlem Heat finally starts to take control, and then you see Sherry and Colonel Rob Parker on the other side, and Sherry's like crawling into the ring and like crawling over to him, and they just start making out, like hardcore making out in the ring. And
I'll say this: the first kiss, it looked like it was closed mouth, especially from the Colonel.
It did,
but then Sherry went for it, man.
Dude, she did. It was crazy, dude.
And he just opened his mouth, and you could see it. He just opened his mouth, and she went to town on him. It was amazing.
And it was so funny because like it lasted for so long. The making out was so long.
Yeah.
So like that was the camera's basically on that, and all the guys. It was great. All the guys in the ring. The ref is distracted by this, which allows the Nasty Boys to run in and kill. By the way, like a pretty big pop. They run in, get involved, and kill Dick Slater. While Sherry and Colonel Rob Parker are still making out. Like, I'm telling you, they make out for a while in the other ring. And then Harlem Heat win. So they're the new tag champs. But they needed help from the Nasty Boys and a distraction from their manager. So, post-match, the Harlem Heat basically has to go get Sherry. Like, they have to pull her away, basically. And it's great because the mics can pick up. Like, they're both like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And they're mad at her. And Sherry goes, well, you guys won, didn't you? Like... you're the champs. And then Booker's like, oh yeah, I guess you're right. Like, we can't be super mad. We won the
right.
And they take her away. But afterwards, me and Gene's on the, I guess the stage, and he's like trying to get a word with Bunkhouse Buck, and he calls Robert Parker lovesick. And he was like, where were you?
You're lovesick.
He goes, you're lovesick. He goes,
classic Mean Gene.
Where was you when we need you? That's what Bunkhouse Buck says.
Yep.
And Parker, honestly, like he's an enjoyable like dude, like character on screen.
Yeah.
He goes, I feel like I'm in a pit, like my heart is soaring like an eagle. Like he said,
I forgot he said that.
He basically said he's in a pit, but at the same time he's on cloud 9 because his team's losing. But he has Sherry now, and then
my heart is soaring like an eagle. Like we got to paint the picture first. So this guy's like the old Southern gentleman, with the cowboy hat, and he keeps like from sweating. He's dabbing his face.
Like the handkerchief is like part of his gimmick.
With the handkerchief, perfect guy for this. And then of course Sherry, she's decked out in like fishnets, black dress.
Yep, like classic
goth,
Sherry.
You know, awesome. So opposites attract, but his heart was soaring like an eagle over that woman. Amazing.
Right. And he goes, it literally ends with him going, "I've got to have that girl." And like it's great, dude. It honestly, like it's a great storyline because it's like
it's fun. It was fun.
It's fun, and like it's like, dude, it's like the manager's torn between a woman and his team.
Yep.
And Sherry is like the girl who's like ruining everything, but at the same time, her team's winning. So like, what do they have to be mad about? You know what I mean? Like they're the tag champs now, basically all because of Sherry.
And the big question is Sherry being legitimate here, or is she just being manipulative?
Right. And it's a great storyline, dude. It really is. Like, I'm interested to see how this plays out on Nitro.
So am I.
But dude, I'm telling you, like, you guys, like, when you guys watch this, like, it's like a full makeout scene. You're gonna be like, oh my god, they're really going for it. Especially because he's like old and Sherry's like Sherry at the time. It's hilarious.
Right.
But honestly, like, the match sucked, but all the, what's the right word here? All the other, I don't know what I'm trying to say. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, all the other shenanigans, I guess, about the angle, I thought was really entertaining and like cool. So,
yeah, shenanigans good, match not so good.
Match poor, shenanigans good. So, then we go to the announcers, and it's time for the hype of Flair and Arn. But this time, it's Arn's turn to talk, right? So Flair was basically, they roll a package where Flair was kind of using Arn, to the point where like he would send him in matches, and to like basically like he wasn't appreciating the fact that Arn was kind of like taking bullets for him, right? And he would like get beat up for Flair, and he would wrestle for Flair so Flair wouldn't have to, type of thing. So the whole angle is based off of the fact that Arn wants Flair to be the old Ric Flair, the NWA champ Ric Flair, right?
Right.
He hasn't been living up to the standards that Flair should have for himself and that Arn has for Flair, right?
Right.
So it's honestly, I love the way that they're doing this, not that they hate each other, you know what I mean? Basically, Arn is going to try and beat some sense into him, make him a better person. And at one point, Arn's cool quote is, he says, "Trading fists with a man I love more than God." And I thought that was just cool.
That was a good line. Yeah.
It's just, dude, and I didn't realize this, bro. Arn Anderson, as much shit as he gets for just, like, he was, like, a great promo, I thought, too.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Like, I don't think he should be looked at as, like, a B-list kind of guy as far as history goes, because...
You know what I think it is? I think it's because I think Tully gets the same rep. Like, I love Tully's in-ring work. Mm-hmm. And he was a decent promo, too. But I think it's just because they're so close to Rick, they're attached, and they weren't Rick. You know what I mean? But this promo is excellent.
It would have been cool. Like, this is just speculation, but it would have been cool. Like, I don't know if you watched, or like, I know you know a lot about this, but I was watching, like, the Rise and Fall of WCW, and they were talking about how Magnum TA was supposed to be Flair's big next, like, you know, like, he was going to be the guy that was supposed to be the next Flair, but face-wise. Like, he was going to be his big spoil, right?
Yep, he was going to be the dance partner, basically.
But he's gotten the bad accident. And I honestly think that it could have been Arn or Tully being the guy that branches out, but they were in so deep at the point and making so much money, I feel like there was no reason because like at this point Arn and Tully aren't in their prime, right? Like, once you got to the 90s, they're older. There's no point in trying to make a star out of them. But I honestly think they could have made a star out of either Arn.
Oh yeah.
But you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Big time.
Just, like, I'm glad that obviously the Horsemen and the legacy they have, but easily Arn could have, I thought, been the next guy. But as it goes to, like, we're getting ready for the match now. The family feud you never thought you'd see has come to a reality is a quote, I think, from Shivani. So that's pretty cool. So match 5, I guess this is match 5. Holy shit. I forgot, like, there's 2 really small matches. Mm-hmm. So Arn versus Flair, boys. They both come out, honestly, to a huge pop. Like,
yeah, this was amazing.
I thought Flair, dude, actually was getting booed more than Arn. Like, Flair had a mixed reaction. But I honestly thought, even though Flair was supposed to be the heel in this angle, that he was going to get cheered more than Arn would. Like, mm-hmm. I don't know if that's what you thought too, but like, he definitely Flair got more of a mixed reaction. I thought Arn got the bigger pop, honestly. Like, as far as
Arn was clearly the fan favorite here.
But I thought this was cool the way they were making. This was a big fight field, dude. They were shooting all the wrestlers. All came out to watch the match. So, like, I just noted some guys, like, Parker's out there now, like, even though he was just in the thing. Boss Man, Eddie Guerrero. Like, that's the first time we saw Eddie Guerrero.
Yes.
Like, that was like, oh, shit, Eddie Guerrero's here.
There's Eddie, yep.
But they just showed basically the entire locker room, which was cool because, like, it was like, oh, this is so important, right? And it does. It's almost...
Pillman was there.
Right, Pillman. It's almost a shame that this is not the main event. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost a shame this comes during Fall Brawl because, and Wargames. Because if it wasn't, this is obviously, to me, the clear-cut main event.
Oh, absolutely.
But, so I marked here for all you viewers and for you, Big Hollywood, at 1 hour, 38 minutes, and 57 seconds, you get the first cyst sighting for Ric Flair. So if you guys want to see Flair's cyst, go right ahead to 1:38:57 on the network.
Beautiful.
All right, you ready for my big notes on the match? I have it as best as I could, like move for move, pretty much, or exchange for exchange, as always.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Before you get started, I'm just gonna say, like, generally, I love the fact that Flair actually had the timid role here. He was like reluctant to lock up with Arn, and Arn was there to fight him.
Yeah.
And they just did such a good job with this, and they took their time and spread it out and let that breathe, for the first couple minutes.
Yep. I said, there's a lot of, okay, so the match starts, right? And Arn's mocking Flair's woo after, a drop toe. They did a lot of, the things you just said, the letting the storyline breathe, where they do a move, and then they'd sit back and let the crowd get into it for, however long. You know what I mean? So it really is it starts out kind of how you expect it would, where Arn's throwing Flair around, and at one point they're kind of trying to wrestle, and Arn just slaps Flair in the face, and he sells it like he was not expecting it. It's just it's so good, it's so classic. And he rolls out of the ring after he takes this bump, and he's trying to get some heat. Arn's working the arm, and he slaps Flair again, and he does the other bump again. And it's like you said, it's like Arn's here to fight. Like, Arn, it's not bullshit. Arn's like, I'm going to beat you because I need to beat you for your own sake, kind of thing.
Yep.
More mat wrestling. The arm was, I put Arn working the arm. Arn Anderson. He was really working the arm, but eventually Flair literally gets no offense, right? And eventually the first offense he gets, and I love this, was just the classic Flair chop, and the crowd loses it, and they start wooing, and it's great.
That's amazing.
So Flair's firing back finally with a lot of chops and his classic Flair offense. Arn into a sleeper, and then he gets a knee to the back. He's still working the arm. He's honestly healing the arm at this point, where he's not letting Flair get up. He's really he's not really toying with Flair, but he's in control this whole time.
Yep.
So
it's a lost art.
There's a great spot where Flair does his corner thing, where he whips him into the corner. Arn whips Flair into the corner, and he goes over the top, and Arn hits an axe handle to the outside, and I just thought it was cool to see him hit an axe handle, because I didn't think Arn Anderson of all people really top ropes,
Not a high risk guy. No.
Yep. So then Flair finally gets control, and he's working Arn big time. The crowd's hot for this entire thing.
Crowd was great for this. Great.
And he goes for the dirty pin, and just classic Flair shit, where he puts his legs on the ring.
Yep.
So Arn comes back, right, and he gets him in the corner, and he hits the classic Flair when he gets back body drop, and he falls on his side. And the crowd at this point is dude, I can't express how much the crowd's into this match, because it's a simple match, but it just, everything they do works. And then, dude, did you notice that this is another weird thing? So they're doing a low blow spot, obviously, for Flair to get his heat back. And for whatever reason, Randy Anderson, the ref, stops Arn from punching Flair. All of a sudden, it's illegal.
It was weird.
Because, so Flair's on his knees, okay?
Yep.
And he's looking up at Arn, and Arn goes to punch him, and the ref, literally grabs Arn. And it's dude, you let him punch him the entire match, but all of a sudden you can't punch Flair.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it's dumb. It was another dumb WCW thing.
I made note of it, and it was extremely weird. It came out of nowhere.
And even the low blow Flair hit was bad. You couldn't even see it. The camera work was abysmal. Because he didn't low blow him with the classic arm. He I guess he punched him in the crotch region. It was weird. The whole thing was scuffed, and I wish they could have. I love Flair doing a low blow for this purpose of Flair's character in the match. But I wish they could have just made it super clear and not, you know what I'm saying? They should have done a total different spot, whatever. But then it's great because Flair, he's the dirtiest player in the game. He's strutting his stuff on the outside because he low blew him. Suplex on the outside. Flair has the upper hand, lots of chops. Dude, this was great. Flair's in a trio of woe, and Arn chokes him. I thought it was great. And then Arn goes for, this is we're well into the match at this point, guys. Arn's going for a DDT, and Flair holds onto the rope, so Arn does a back body drop, which, dude, I love, like, a spot when, like, spots like that.
Yes.
Like, when, you know, it's just, like, he almost has it, but Flair's just, boom, like, he barely hangs on. And then Arn gets the upper hand again, though. Arn goes off the top, Flair hits him with a right hand. And, dude, figure 4 leg lock unglues Asheville.
Crowd went nuts.
Dude. And then, bro, this is great. The crowd goes nuts when he puts it in, but Arn, he blocked it briefly when he first put it in. So like it was like, oh my god, he didn't get it in yet because no one really blocked Flair's figure 4 at the time. So he somehow blocks it with his arm, and then Flair gets it in for a while, and Arn finally reverses it, dude. And the crowd's the loudest it's been all night. They're losing their mind. Like they don't. Heenan's like, oh, no one ever really does that. Like reverses it, whatever. So then Arn hits a small package after this for a near fall, and Flair's working the, I think I said knee there. And Arn sells the knee, and Brian Pillman jumps the crowd, gets on the apron, ref's distracted. Him and Flair exchange some words, and then eventually Pillman punches Flair. Arn hits the DDT and gets the win at 22-37. I was very surprised to see Pillman get involved here.
Completely surprised. I have no idea where they're going with Pillman now.
I'm excited, though, I would say, because the Pillman matches we've seen so far have been awesome. So if he gets to work with Flair, Arn, or to get in the storyline somehow, I think it'd be great. But I was so shocked to see it win this way, and I love the fact that it ended this way because nobody got a clear-cut win.
Protects both of them, yep.
Arn
I think you had to book it that way because the match was just incredible.
Yeah.
And as it's going on, I'm thinking to myself, who the hell do you put over here?
Yeah.
And I'm so glad they came up with this because they almost had to. If not Pillman, it had to be somebody. So,
and I'm glad it's. I think of anyone, I'm trying to think mid card wise that's gonna get a little push here.
Yeah,
I think Pillman's the guy that at least I want to see. You know what I mean? Like I think that he's the perfect guy for this. But dude, guys, this match is another like just classic work of like mid Atlantic wrestling. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just so good.
What do you like better, this or the opening match?
I still think the opening match because of how much it surprised me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that this was great, but, like, I expected it to be great, so my expectations were higher. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Like, the shock value of the opening match really won it for me. And, I mean, dude, like, this show is stacked right now, I think. This match, dude, was... Like, this is another one, guys, where, like, we can't do it justice. You got to go watch it. The build was great. I wish we... This is the one thing that, like, almost sucks, but not really, because we still have to see it. Like, if we started this podcast, like, 3 months before in the timeline, you know what I mean? We would have got to see more of the build, and we would have been more invested. But I still think the build, even just for us, was awesome. And, like, I was invested enough, you know?
Yeah, I think their 2 promos just on this show alone was enough, to be honest, to sell it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, but this was... I got to think this had to be a classic WCW match because, we talked earlier, Brian and Johnny B. Bad, no one ever talks about it, but I got to think this was the opposite. This is probably the one that everybody remembers.
This is probably talked about a lot. Yeah, you're probably right about that.
Yeah, it was excellent. Go watch it.
For good reason. Like, it was great. And once again, it's weird, dude. Only 85,000 people bought this, which means less than 100,000 people worldwide saw this probably.
Crazy.
But yeah, like just another great Flair match. He can't put on a bad match, I'm convinced.
No.
But dude, also by the way Arn hits a DDT is arguably as good as Jake Roberts. I love the way he hit the DDT.
I don't think there's an argument about it. I mean, he nailed it.
He did.
Yeah, yes. Arn's pretty awesome, man.
So finish, I thought was great. Protects both of them, and I'm excited to see where this goes. So.
Yep. So
now it's basically we're getting to main event time. And
it's time for gold right here.
They do so before they're about to get a Hulkamaniacs promo, which is, by the way, I don't like the fact that they're calling them the Team Hulkamaniacs because they're really not. They're all individuals. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's
but Hogan's the captain. You know.
I know, but he always has to be number one at everything.
Yes, he does.
So in this segment, this is all kind of one segment. They do I wrote insane Dungeon of Doom Sullivan video package. He is just talking some crazy shit, dude.
Yeah.
He said, "You and I can't." And it's great because he's supposed to be the Taskmaster, but he's from like Boston. He has a really like New England accent. He's like, "You and I can't coexist, Hogan. Like your scalp will boil. Soon your hearing will go. The master himself will drive the wagon with the Hulkamaniacs carcasses." He goes, dude. Oh my god, this is crazy.
Yep.
So the announcers, I don't know what happened. There's something about they run out of time or something. Like Heenan's about to make a comment, and Shivani cuts him off. He said, "All right, we're almost out of time here."
Oh yeah, they had to get to it.
So they do another hype package, and they talk about how now that Vader's AWOL, Luger, like they did the, they instead of the Dungeon of Doom hype package, after they go through that, they do the like Vader's AWOL, Luger's here, that whole storyline about Luger debuting. So they roll that video package, and they really build how Lex could be a pawn, and like they don't know where the loyalty is, right?
Right.
So it's a Mean Gene promo, and this dude, is some gold, boys.
I wrote gold. These 4 are gold. That's what I wrote.
So it's Luger, Mean Gene, Jimmy Hart, Macho, Hogan, and Sting. Okay.
Ugh.
And they're all, dude. He's just interviewing them one by one, but when the one person isn't being interviewed, the rest are posing or high-fiving or yelling random ad-libbed comments.
Yeah, fantastic.
It's so funny. They're all so obsessed with themselves.
They're all dressed in army fatigues, and they all have the face paint on, the green camouflage
It's
face.
so funny,
God.
dude. They're high-fiving each other, and Macho and like Luger are doing all these crazy like weird handshake things, and you can tell it's like Macho just riffing, and like Luger's like, "What am I doing?" Like he's like, "What is happening?"
All right, so I took some notes here on this one section of this segment. So they're flipping out crazy. Like the energy is amazing, right? Mm-hmm. They're all going nuts. They're all totally hype. And at one point, Hogan and Gene and Jimmy Hart are trying to talk. Like Hogan's trying to cut this promo. And the other 3 guys, they actually leave the shot. Yeah. Like they walk off to the left. And this is the best part. Like 10 seconds later, Sting just slowly walks through and looks at the camera and he's going, "Woo!" And he walks off. Right behind him is Macho. And he's doing this arm scissors like Jaws with his arms, like Pac-Man. And he walks off. And then Lex Luger comes up from the bottom of the camera flexing.
Yep.
And the whole time they're doing this like they're all out of their minds, and Hogan's trying to cut a promo.
It's like 4. It's like 5 if you count Jimmy Hart. Crackheads just like losing their minds, dude. I wrote down some of Macho's quotes. Are you ready for this? I have 3 quotes during his promo part. He goes, "United we stand. Watch this foursome. We are devastating." He goes, and then. Dude, you know what? They're loving USA. Like the whole thing is based around USA, but it's like you're not wrestling.
Yeah.
Like the Russians. This isn't like the Cold War. Like you're just wrestling the Dungeon of Doom. There's no like patriotic thing about this other than Hogan isn't like they're in America. Like
they're all jazzed completely. Like
but it makes
American
it funny.
Soldiers.
It makes it
so
funny.
Great. Yep.
I literally put this as like the best promo of all time. Like it's so funny, but like you have to visually. We can't do it justice because you have to visually see how crazy and crackhead they are. It's so funny, dude. Oh my god, Mean Gene, like I don't know how he keeps it together. Like he is the best at like his job for that reason alone.
Like they had to know too. Like I can't believe we get paid to do this.
Yeah,
like it was so insane. It was great.
Like they're the biggest. Dude, it is crazy. Like when I watch this, as stupid as they are and as funny as they are, it's crazy to me. Like how much star power is in this segment. Like,
oh yeah.
Bischoff really got the big guys. The guys need to get. But are you ready for the main event Wargames match?
All right, let's do it.
So here we go. DOD versus the Hulkamaniacs. At the beginning, they add a stipulation where if Hogan wins, he gets the Taskmaster for 5 minutes or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. After the match. So the Dungeon of Doom, bro, is Kamala, the Zodiac, Shark. And I feel bad because Mang is in there, a.k.a. Haku, who is like a legit good wrestler and like is feared in the business. But he doesn't really have a gimmick. His name's just Mang. Like he's like they're just like from the island, like the Pacific Islands or whatever.
Yeah.
Like he's not gimmicked up really. He's just like himself, but he's in the Dungeon of Doom. So
right.
It's like they call him the Face of Fear, Mang. So it's not like I don't know. It's weird. Like everyone else has like a weird gimmick to them, and Mang's kind of just like playing himself, but he's in the Dungeon of Doom. But I thought so. They come out and were you surprised? I don't know. Maybe because they were on a time cut, but they didn't get singular entrances. They just played a Wargames song. Like no one got their song. It was just Macho came out, and then Sting, and then Luger, and then Hogan.
Yeah, I gotta think it was time. Yeah.
Like they just played the thing. Like they just played the random Wargames music or whatever. So I thought Luger got a huge pop actually. A little bit smaller than Hogan's because obviously Hogan's Hogan, but Luger was definitely over at this time. And Heenan goes, Jimmy looks like he's lost a few wars when he sees Jimmy Hart. Because Jimmy Hart's also wearing like a cutoff shirt with the face paint. It's great. So the match starts with Shark and Sting in the match.
Yes.
And the announcers mention that Giant is here. So that's not really talked about, but the Giant is in the building, apparently.
Yep.
So Sting body slams Shark, everyone loses it. Like Shark goes for cover, realizes he can't eliminate Sting. Like I don't know what he was doing. He like falls on him like he's gonna like it was crazy.
Yeah, I guess you forgot like there's no pin.
Right. Until everyone's in the match, but it's honestly the work here is boring. It's just Sting like the whole match basically. I'll just tell you guys the order because they're not really honestly. I don't know how you feel. There's nothing noteworthy as far as in ring work.
No, so, basically it was just a brawl. It was a 6 brawl. Basically,
you could tell. Like I wrote like you could tell that like they were just going in there and messing around. Like there wasn't anything planned out. There wasn't any spots that were like they were just going in there slamming each other and like doing casual work and punching each other. But the entrance, so when Sting and Shark were in first, Zodiac came in, then Macho, then Kamala for Dungeon of Doom, then Luger, then Mang, and Hogan finally came in. And when Hogan came in, dude, they lost their mind. Obviously, as I figured they would. But they really lost their shit when Hogan came in. But, okay, so...
Yep, he's still way the hell over at this point.
Yep. So, Luger entered. When Luger entered, though, he hits double clotheslines, and he's really... He turns the tides for the match. But during... I forgot about this before Hogan even gets in the ring. Luger accidentally hits Savage and Sting, tries to hold them apart, but they actually start fighting within the match. Like this, Luger,
yeah, I'm glad they did that, too.
I did too. So it's like you could tell, they're still not loyalty's still not there.
Ulterior motives.
But it's really all DOD until Hogan comes in. It's great. Hogan has chalk and he uses it, which I thought was a really face thing of him to do. Classic, like it's
a war brother.
It's a war brother. He uses it on the entire Dungeon of Doom as he enters. They do this funny slinky spot where
Zodiac.
He's coming back and forth and he's getting hit. And Heenan goes, "Oh, the dirt." Oh, when he throws the chalk, Heenan makes a comment where he's like, "The dirtiest, cheapest, blah blah blah." Like he just goes in on Hogan. It's great because he's
he did that since I don't know 85.
Dude, he's the best.
He hates Hogan. It's so great.
He was the voice we needed before we knew we needed it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So Luger slaps Hogan, right? This is a cool spot, I thought, where Luger slapped Hogan, but not as like a mean way, like he tapped him on the back, but Hogan jumped. He was like, "Oh shit!" Like, like, are you gonna attack me, basically? And then out of nowhere, dude, Hogan throws Zodiac into the other ring because everyone's in the left ring. He throws him into the right ring, and he puts him in a camel clutch, but they don't call it the camel clutch.
Yeah,
and he just wins like out of nowhere, like no cool spot. That was it. It was just done. Like, that was the match. So
yeah, it was interesting. Yep.
Hogan. I don't know if it was a time cut and they really screwed it up or what, but the match itself was pretty abysmal, I thought. Like, I don't know what I was expecting, but...
Yeah, there was no actual wrestling. It was just...
It was...
And straight up a brawl, and then the match started, and it was a brawl, and that was it.
It's absolutely nothing like the War Games you see NXT putting on today. Like, right. It's so old-fashioned, but it's... And it's not, but this wasn't like good old Ric Flair, Harley Race War Games, Dusty War Games. This is like bad, like just really abysmal work. I thought War Games. So now since Hogan won, he gets the Taskmaster for 5 minutes. So Taskmaster's running away, and two random strangers get him, which I don't know why the hell the Hulkamaniacs couldn't go get him.
Yeah, I almost feel like they were like the referee was holding him at the top of the entrance ramp.
Yeah.
And I almost feel like he looked off camera, and I felt like there were supposed to be a couple guys, but only one guy came out
Right.
to help him. And it was really weird seeing like that guy,
Like
whoever he was,
right.
and the ref pushing Sullivan down.
Because like he's
really
he's
weird.
literally supposed to be like a powerful entity in this
Right.
angle, and Hogan's the only guy who can like he's being built literally as like Hogan's number one adversary, other than the Giant. But here's what I put, dude. Why doesn't because the Dungeon of Doom as he's getting in the ring are like going backstage, and like why aren't they trying to help him? Wouldn't it have been great if outside the ring DOD's trying to get in and get him, and the Hulkamaniacs have to hold him off like Macho, Sting, and Luger?
Right.
Wouldn't that have been a great visual? But instead they just go to the back.
Or like you said, I expected the other three to like go up and grab Sullivan and carry him.
Yeah,
back down.
exactly. But instead, they all go back to the back, bro. But
Yep.
you can hear Savage go, "Ooh, yeah!" Like for some reason, I don't know.
Yep,
why.
I heard it.
Um,
Just random as he's walking
and dude,
by the camera.
the ref opens the door for Hogan when they're inside the ring.
Yeah,
I was like, "That's weird too."
yeah.
But so like this whole part's kind of scuffed, guys, for multiple reasons. And then out of nowhere, when Hogan's beating him up, the Giant shows up during the match. No music, walks to the ring. They're fighting in the ring, and I don't know if you heard this, dude, but Hogan is screaming spots at the Giant, like because the crowd's losing their mind. Basically, Hogan's like screaming, like telling him what to do next, like because I guess the Giant was so green at the time.
Yeah, I didn't catch that.
Hogan's literally like yelling spots to him. And dude, he gets him in the spot, right? And you're like the tension gets built up. Giant gets the upper hand. Giant, the end of the show, guys, is the Giant legit. He gets him in like this sleeper hold, but he like acts like he breaks his neck, and that's the end of the show. He basically Giant legit tries to break Hogan's neck. So as the show's going to black, Buffer's calling for paramedics. The Hulkamaniacs finally get to the ring. I don't know where they were. You know what I mean? And the show goes to black, and they basically are building the fact that Hogan's neck might be broken and he could be dead. Like that's what happened.
They literally, it was, if to paint the picture, he was standing behind Hogan, and it was, you know, one hand on the chin, the other hand on top of the head, and he like cranked it.
Yep.
As if to break it. I'll say this though, I did love the fact where Hogan had Sullivan, and his back was to Giant.
Yeah.
And Giant put his hands on Hogan, and Hogan turned around and he had the big eyes. And he did sell it like, oh my God, I'm seeing the ghost of Andre right here. Because it reminded me of like WrestleMania 3. Like Hogan did a good job in that second there.
I don't think there's anything wrong with, you know, I'm not shitting on Hogan or the Giant or anything. It's just such a weird finish. It's such a weird way to end a show. Now, I talk about getting heat. That's a way to get heat. But it just looked so bad. Like I wouldn't have believed I mean, maybe if I was like 6 years old, but I wouldn't have been, you know, 12, 13, 14 and actually thought Hogan just died. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, because it didn't look real enough. It's just a weird spot. It would have been better if, like, maybe they threw him through the ring, something, you know, big spot like that. But they weren't doing that really back then. So it was just kind of a weird writing way to end the show. But yeah, show goes to black. When we do the next Nitro review, we're going into it thinking Hogan could be dead. That's literally like
the champ could be dead. We don't even know. We have to watch Nitro tomorrow to see.
Yep, no idea. It's a good way to get people to watch. Like I said, it's just, you know.
Yep.
But so that's the show. There it is, boys. What did you think?
There it is. I think overall, like we mentioned earlier, we got a nice little smorgasbord here. And the not so good wrestling segments I thought were entertaining. So I think overall I dug the show, especially Arn and Flair and the opening match.
Yeah.
I mean, two amazing matches on this card. I enjoyed the show. I'm saying I like the show overall.
I did too. I think that, like, even though like the Wargames match didn't really live up to my hype, I don't know what I would expect when it's like, because you on one side of the coin you have Hogan, Sting, Macho, and Luger. But on the other side of the coin, you have the Zodiac, Kamala, Mang, and Shark. Like, what can they do, really? You know what I mean? And as much as, like, we do see the weird finishes sometimes, and the weird ref spots, and the weird, like, no rules thing they do, it wasn't, like, littered all over the show. Every match didn't have a dusty finish. And
this was much better than the Nitro.
And even, respect. Right, and even the finish that did have a interference was awesome. Like it added to the match for me, not took away. So
right.
I think if I was my age at this time and I got the show, I think I would have been pleased with it. I think I would have been. It built the storyline more for really everything. There was literally like 2 great solid match of the year candidates, and as good as like the storylines I'm interested in, like the Robert Parker and the Sherry one, and the main storyline, the Flair Arn, and just in general, I'm excited to see Johnny B. Bad against Sting, dude.
Yep.
Like that'll be cool too. But yeah,
Pillman's involvement moving forward.
I like the show too. I encourage you guys to actually go watch this because, and if at least you don't have time for the full thing, at least watch the Johnny B. Bad match and Pillman, and watch the Flair Arn match. And if you want, watch the makeout scene. But that's a good show. I think for for the first pay-per-view in the Nitro era, I think it did its job. I thought it was cool.
I gotta say, I think WWF has its work cut out for them because
dude. Yeah.
So that'll be in 2 weeks, right? We got
In Your House.
Yeah. So it better be a good show because this was, pretty good overall.
Yeah, definitely. You ready for the star of the segment?
Yes.
What did we do last time? We did star of the show, match of the show, and promo of the show?
Yes.
Well, I think promo of the show, we'll start with that because that's easy. Hulkamaniacs for me.
100%. 100%.
Star of the show, who'd you think?
I think I'm gonna give it to Flair.
I think I'm on the same wavelength as you, but I think I'm gonna give it to Arn. For basically the same reasons.
For the same reasons, I probably would give it to Flair. Yeah.
I think I just liked Arn. For some reason, I enjoyed Arn's promo a little bit more. Nothing, like, because for some reason, I enjoyed his perspective about everything more. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. That's fair. Okay.
And now match of the show, dude. Which one are you going to go with?
I'm going with the opening match.
I am too. I have to.
I was shocked. 29 minutes. Oof.
We got overtime. We got draw action. We got, dude, it was. I just cannot believe I've never heard of it before. It blows my freaking mind.
Yeah, I couldn't believe what I was watching. I really
couldn't. I can see why like WWF at the time was excited about hiring Mero.
And the false finishes too. Like, I didn't expect to see that in '95.
Yeah, so many near falls. It was seriously like watching like Omega Okada. Obviously,
yeah.
Like the way the match was laid out, it was for real. Was obviously not as like hard hitting or anything, but like dude, and there was blood too. I forgot. Like he was busted for the whole thing.
Yep.
I'm interested. I'm really like a secondary star of the show. I think Pillman because of his involvement in the Flair Arn match.
Yeah, that's fair too.
I'm interested to see what he's doing too. But yeah, you got any other final closing words on the show?
No, I think I'm good here, but I'm surprised how much I'm enjoying WCW at the moment because I thought for sure it was going to be a train wreck.
And even though it kind of is a train wreck, it's a cool train wreck.
It's an entertaining train wreck.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like you can tell, like for instance, the last match looks like a train wreck. Everything they do really in the main event segments, but it's so good too. Like you don't want to look away, and that's all that matters, right?
That's right.
All right, y'all. I think that pretty much does it for this show. 1995 Fall Brawl review, 0.48 buy rate, 6,600 in attendance. We got Nitro and Raw coming up for the second head-to-head week. That'll be our 4th episode. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. If you checked it out on YouTube, follow us on Twitter at Monday Night Marks. Stream everything on all the streaming platforms: Google, Apple Music, Spotify, all that cheese. And I guess we'll see you guys next episode.
See ya.
Deuces.